So this is the story of my very positive low-waist home birth. During the early morning hours of December 6th at around 4 a.m., I had to go to the bathroom thinking I had terrible food poisoning. I sat there for about 30 minutes. At around 4:30, I thought I was done, so I went back to bed. I quickly realized when I got back in bed I was not going back to sleep. I just could not get comfortable. So I went back to the toilet and sat there for another 30 minutes. Keep in mind, I had no idea I was in labor. It was only December 6th. My due date wasn't until December 18th, so I thought I had plenty of time. I was realizing as I was sitting on the toilet that I kept getting these cramps that would come up every 5 minutes. They would last around 30 seconds. I thought maybe this could just be early practice labor. So to get comfortable, I set up a dilation station, which is where you put the pillows up behind the toilet and you kind of sit facing the wall, you lay your head down and you just relax. I sat there for about another hour, just letting the cramps kind of come and go every 5 minutes, breathing through them. They really weren't that bad. After about an hour of sitting on the toilet, I realized this was not going away. And I just wanted to lay down and be as comfortable as I could. So I decided to go downstairs into the spare bedroom and I just laid out on the floor. A little while after that, I decided to set up 4 pillows on the ground and sit kind of in child's pose. So leaning over on the pillows. And that felt really good. And at this point, the cramps were getting a little bit more intense, but they were still about 3 to 5 minutes apart, so I had plenty of time to rest in between. At around 8 a.m., I texted my midwife just to give her a little heads up that I was feeling a little bit crampy. About 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., I literally just lay there on the floor, riding the waves of what was then my contractions. Around 12 p.m. is where the first form of waste comes into my birth story because I had to get into the water. I decided to take a chair into the downstairs shower and just sit there letting the hot water run on me for as long as I could. I literally sat in that shower for about an hour, just letting all the hot water run on me until eventually the hot water ran cold. When I noticed that the water was starting to turn cold, I asked my husband to please start boiling as much water as you can and take it upstairs into the bathtub so that I can get into the bath. I did not want to be out of the water. As soon as the bathtub was filled with very hot water, I went upstairs, sat in the bathtub till about 3:30. Things were really picking up. My contractions went from being 3 to 5 minutes apart to about 1 to 2 minutes apart. But still, my mind was out of this world. I was literally in what my midwife calls labor land. There was a point when I was in the bathtub, around 2:30, where I was thinking, I need to go to the hospital. I need some drugs. Thank God I just kind of talked myself out of it and was like, no, you can do this. You can do this. You will do this. I am doing this. We're almost done here. I had no idea if I was almost done or not, but I kept telling myself I was. At about 3:10, I had to get out of the bathtub. I just could not be in the water anymore. It was too overwhelming. So somehow I managed to get out of the bathtub and get into our bed right here. At this point, my husband was with me. I had to hold his hand so tight. I was definitely in the birth phase that they call transition, where you literally can feel the head starting to descend down into the pelvis. Things were getting very real. I was roaring at this point. It was just crazy, crazy feelings happening in my lower region. During this time, my husband was calling the midwife, telling her hey, the baby's coming. She is screaming. The contractions are getting super close, and they were. I had literally 0 breaks during these contractions. Maybe a 5-second gap before the next 30-second contraction came on. It was crazy. Finally, at around 4 o'clock, my midwife comes running into my house, running up the stairs, and she's here. She looks down at me. I'm a mess at this point. My legs are up on this wall at this point, and my mind is just in another world. She looks down at me and she's like, well, you're definitely in labor. Because again, we had no idea this kid was coming this soon. She reassures me that she could see my son's head full of hair. And I'm like, you know what? This is go time. And at this point, I could not help it. I was pushing and pushing and pushing. But since I was on my back, my son's head was not coming out all the way. And so she just gently encouraged me to get onto my hands and knees during my next contraction. And as soon as my second knee hit the bed, my son's whole entire head and body just came out right onto the bed. Nobody could even catch him. He just came squirting out right there onto the bed. And he was born. It was crazy. Because I forgot to mention, my midwife did sneak a couple of those disposable pads underneath me so we didn't get blood all over the bed. If I was more well prepared, I would have made sure that I had towels ready to go so she could use towels instead of those sanitary pads. Next time I will do that. Otherwise, I had a very great home birth experience and I cannot wait to do it again. Let me know in the comments if you've ever considered a home birth. 100% think that any woman who thinks she can totally do it. Best experience of my life.